bulk of calving is around the corner for most of the state. Cows and heifers have been forced to weather a cold winter. Snowfall and precipitation has been more hit or miss. Earlier this week, we talked with UNL Extension beef veterinarian Richard Randle near the ARDC in Meade to discuss how farmers and ranchers can be getting ready for calving season.
Well, it's always good to have prior planning because when you're in the middle of calving, things can get pretty hectic and get a little bit out of control. So you think about putting a plan together that includes making sure that calving areas are clean and are in good working order. Think about putting in maybe an OB kit together that contains all the equipment that you're going to need so you have it all in one place, that it's in good, clean working order. And then actually planning about how you're going to go about the whole calving process.
Dry bedding is also probably important. We haven't had a wet winter that far yet, or this far yet, but we could once the season starts.
Yeah, certainly moisture is always going to be our enemy when we're dealing with these things. So between that and cold weather, maybe we're past the worst of it, but certainly some people that are calving already have had a pretty harsh winter that can certainly have an effect on calving.
Yeah, it's been really cold. You're doing some research to look at what that might mean this year for calves and for cows and heifers. Tell me about that.
Well, there's several things to consider in that. Obviously, we recognize that in extreme cold, harsh conditions, these calves coming out under severe cold stress are going to have a much more difficult time dealing with that. So we want to make sure that these calves are going to do things like get dried off pretty quickly, get colostrum as quickly as possible, and try to keep them a bit out of the draft when we have it really extreme harsh conditions. In addition to that, there has been some work out there that shows that following long-term extreme cold conditions, calves tend to be a little bit bigger at birth. And that being the case, we don't expect increases in dystocias, especially in adult cows, because they can probably handle a 5 to 7 increase in birth weight, but might be a bit different story in heifers. So we always are watching heifers more closely anyway, but this would be a good year to pay particular attention to these animals as they go into calving in case we see some problems like that.
Related to the cold as well, how about the condition of those cows and heifers? Are they in pretty good shape, or is it possible that this cold has also taken a toll on them?
Well, obviously when we have these extreme temperatures, these animals need additional feed in order to offset those conditions. And so it is possible that these animals, if they didn't get enough supplemental feed, they would be a little bit weaker. And often in those cases we see cows that aren't going to have as strong a contraction because muscles are weaker, they fatigue quicker, and therefore the time for them to deliver that calf tends to lengthen. And as it does that, that calf can suffer additional stress, can become hypoxic, and when it's born, then it's slower to get up, it's slower to nurse, and we recognize that calves under those kind of conditions don't absorb colostrum as well. So there's a number of issues there to pay close attention to and make sure that we're ready to intervene at the appropriate time.